With more complications coming, it looks like the NBA season is not going to start. Players are having trepidations about going to the bubble in Orlando due to the rising cases of coronavirus. Florida had their highest consecutive day of coronavirus cases, which broke the day before. Saturday, they had 4,049 cases. Before that, they had about 3,800 on Friday. So players, there a lot of them are not willing to play. You just seen in Major League Baseball, they turned out their 60 game deal down. So a lot of guys are not willing to play for a shortened season amidst COVID-19 because they want to put themselves at risk. Now, going to Florida is putting yourself 10 times as risk, as they were one of the few first states to open immediately, before a lot of other states conservatively waited. They were like, well, we're going to open up, we're going to open the beaches and everything like that. Now they're the third straight day of high cases, which is very bad if you want to place a bubble in Disney World for the players to play. It's very bad. Now, with all that being said, it looks like there's not going to be a continuation of the season. And the reason I say this is you have guys like Trevor Ariza opting out to play in Orlando. And granted, they're not LeBron, they're not Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving, which, of course, he's out or whatever. They're not perennial all-stars or anything like that. However, let's just say LeBron wants to play. Who's he going to beat up on? If he's beating up on guys that we don't consider NBA caliber players, what's the point of watching it? Let's just say they get replacements, like that movie, The Replacements. I think it was Keanu Reeves beating them, and they're on their way to win championships. Whoever gets out, whether it's LA Bucks, whatever. If your favorite player is beating up on a no-name player, you're not gonna want to watch it. So it's very imperative that all the players actually opt in to play. That's why I'm saying that it's not a good sign. The fact that coronavirus positive test has vastly increased in the state they want to play in. Players had trepidation already, but then you got role players who are already opting out. So it just doesn't look good. Then you have your adjacent sports such as baseball, who they're turning down deals to play. And it's even, honestly, it would be even better for baseball because it's like a wide open field, wide open space, and players are still turning down stuff. So it's quite interesting. Now, Stephen A. Smith brought up alternative to everything in Florida. Since guys are scared to go to Florida, why don't we move the bubble to New York? I know in terms of business, that's not going to work for the NBA due to the fact that all the taxes, all the fees, New York is one of the most expensive cities. So even if they got to go to New York and do a deal, they would have to back pay everything that they owed. So, the New York hotels, arenas, whether it's the Brooklyn Nets or the New York Knicks arena, they will front load the costs, but the NBA would have to pay them back. And the NBA, the way that they operate and owners operate, is a money business. Even though they're all contributing to the pot, other owners are gonna be like, well, it doesn't seem fair that I'm paying extra because you couldn't figure out how to do the bubble in Disney World. And that's the problem in New York. The infrastructure in New York is not sound. Like, you can't necessarily do a bubble in New York. So many people that live there, and you'd have to shut down some of the key things that people are actually using to combat COVID-19. Some of the infrastructure, some of the roads, and essential workers, as opposed to like a place like Disney World where the people that are working there, they're strictly there for working there. They don't. Everything in New York is smack dab in the middle of everything. So like, you could have a hotel smack dab in the middle of traffic, with smack dab next to a hospital. So let's just say you do a bubble in New York, and you're impeding traffic for ambulances, or you're sectioning off traffic and stuff like that. You could make it a bottleneck and really hard for some of those people. So the infrastructure in New York seems a lot more difficult. Now, the infrastructure seems difficult. Like, I'm not a logistics guy, but in terms of making sense. It could, because you have all the TV networks there, and Lost in L.A. and New York, they have all the networks and stuff like that. LA, you go to make movies, but the news, New York and stuff like that, that's perfect. Then you have everybody travels to New York one way or another. You know what I'm saying? That's easy as well. And then you have two arenas where you actually could play games, which is the New York Knicks arena and the Brooklyn Nets arena. Now, the one trepidation I have about the New York Knicks arena is James Dolan. James Dolan, of course, we all know, is not an easy guy to get along with. And the fact that amidst all of the issues in terms of Black Lives Matter, police brutality, the protests, and the march, players are going to most likely want to take a stand against James Dolan for not even taking a stand himself. So to me, this draws more ire and fire, and it's like, okay, out of the frying pan into the fire, because now players are going to be challenging James Dolan to take a stand. And if he doesn't, then there goes your season. So more and more, it just seems like this is not going to happen. Now, I could be wrong. I could be just looking at a pessimistic lens, because if you look at it at an optimistic lens and using an optimistic lens, hey, Florida doesn't work out. Alternative can be New York, or can be a Los Angeles, or can be a Texas. You need to think about Texas. Texas can be one of the places. They have 3 arenas, and they're all within like 4 or 5 hours of each other. That's another alternative as well, and you can play a lot of games. Then at least you have most of the players on board. In terms of, at least the star players aren't counting themselves out right away. Like, at least LeBron didn't come out and say, it's just Trevor Ariza. So that's the optimist lens. I gave you the negative lens about Trevor Ariza. Here's the optimist lens. At least LeBron James didn't say flat out he's not going to play. So that's optimistic as well. So players want to play. We want to see them play. They want to protest as well. They don't want any distractions in terms of protesting. Another optimistic point of view, they can use their platform in order to protest. So we'll see how everything plays out. But right now, just neutrally looking at everything with a rise in certain cases, I don't think it's going to be a go in Florida, but the NBA does have other options. Hoops Junction, Hoops Meets Hoopla. Like, comment, subscribe.